Hi, a long time no post. This is BestFurryNA, and I want to do a reaction video, but I don't like doing reaction style content if there's nothing that I can uniquely add. And I think the title of this video kind of has an interesting look or dynamic or direction to it. So I think that I can weigh in on it. So I've seen some of Dr. John Deloney's stuff before, and I think he definitely has earned his qualifications for the most part. He has some interesting takes sometimes that I don't always agree with, but that's natural. But I think overall he's a pretty level-headed guy. I mean, he's as far as I'm aware, he has his doctorate in being able to train, clinical psychiatry and stuff like that, right? Or therapy. I might be one or the other. I don't remember. But I mean, he is a licensed doctor. He is in the mental health field, and he has a lot of good takes. But I'm very curious about this, and I haven't seen this one before. I've seen quite a few of his stuff, but this one is actually fairly new. It came out earlier this year, and I'm very curious to see what his take is, and if there's anything else that I can weigh in on with my background. So let's see. Also, we're noting this is using fair use because I
Let's go out to Salt Lake City
plan to
and
be
talk to
transformative.
Jill. What's up, Jill? How we doing?
Hey, Deloney, I'm happy to talk to you.
I am more happy to talk to you. What is up?
She's at our house every other weekend, and this last time she came over, she had made my daughter, who's 9, a mask and was teaching her how to jump and filming her with her cell phone and presumably to give her feedback on how to jump better. A stepdaughter who's 13,
Okay.
and then my husband and I have 2 younger kids together.
Okay, so
My
stepdaughter.
stepdaughter is a Therian. She identifies as a fox. She wears a mask and a tail and has a YouTube channel of her.
Okay. I have to laugh because of his reaction. He already knows what that word. He's already been down the rabbit hole. Okay, so people who are Therians are not furries, by the way. They are two completely different things. People who are Therians legitimately believe that they are the thing that they are, saying that they are, whereas furries are. It's a role-playing thing. It's really no different than playing Dungeons and Dragons and pretending to be a minotaur or something, right? Uh, you know, I, it's at the end of the day, furries are completely make-believe. We don't know, we don't actually sincerely believe we are whatever, right? It's we have an original character, or whatever, right? Therians are actually like legitimately believe they are what they say. So in this person legitimately believes that she is a fox or has like a fox soul or spirit or something, right? And even though I say like, oh, the raccoon is my spirit animal, I don't mean that in a literal sense. I mean that like, okay, it's something that I can like relate to, right? Um, I'm still a human. So that's like the first thing that like I want to get out is Therians or otherkin or however you want to say it. Like if you know someone who is that, they definitely need psychological evaluation and assistance and help. And I'm not saying that to be mean or anything. I'm saying that because, So let's go with
her jumping around like a fox in really short shorts. And this is mostly being done at her mom's house.
I just love his face.
She's had the YouTube channel for about 6 months, but we just found out about.
I don't want to pause this all the time, but in this day and age, a lot of, like, I don't think any child should have a YouTube. Actually, in any day and age, a child should not really have their own YouTube channel without heavy parental guidance and monitoring. I think it could be a nice, wholesome thing. There's definitely creeps out there, always will be, but you need to have the parents in control. And if they don't know, like, yeah, uh, this is definitely something that I wouldn't okay as a parent, in any way, shape, or form. Like, the title of like I'm best furry NA, right? And like I would never do that.
About it. She's also had a smartphone since she was 10.
Don't care
She's
about
at
the
our house
smartphone.
every other weekend, and this last time she came over, she had made my daughter, who's 9, a mask and was teaching her how to jump and filming her with her cell phone and presumably to give her feedback on how to
Is the
jump
stepdaughter
better.
making fun of her?
Well, duh, Jill.
And ever since,
Duh. Every young fox has to learn how to jump. How else do you think they're gonna learn?
Touche.
Hey, can we just stop for a second?
Yes, please.
Sorry. Okay, so the stepdaughter is the one who does, and then she's teaching the. Okay. So it's not. Okay. So she's trying to like recruit. Okay, so this is interesting because if they're not just saying it's me, but then they're doing the same with someone else, like it's projection of. I want to see what his analysis is. He's the doctor here, not me.
I hope that if you've listened to the show for a while, you know, like, man, I just wade into some, and what's on the show is not a quarter of what I wade into in the real world, like with real people. And I try to be as like the most compassionate guy. And I've worked with young people my whole career, like teenagers and young adults, and so man, nothing surprises me. But the fact that there's a name for this, and that you have to say, my.
Okay, John. You're saying the fact that there's a name for this, but the moment she said the name, like we saw your face right here. We saw your face. You know. You know.
I feel like we're in the Twilight Zone, that you and I are having this conversation. But continue, Jill. Continue.
Continue. I totally don't know about any of this.
That's why I'm calling you, because I don't know. I'm at a complete loss, and I'm shocked. And it is a whole thing, and there's a name, and there's terminology, and there's things that are offensive to them, and anyway. Okay, so ever since this last visit, now my daughter is a Therian also. She identifies as a giraffe, if you're curious.
Again, not the same as furries. These people legitimately like believe they are that, or believe they can shapeshift or whatever. It's like there's make believe, and then there's like actual needing clinical help.
The other thing is, so my husband and I were looking at the YouTube.
I'm laughing with you.
I know it's not funny. No, it kind of is, and I think the way to put this in terms of like, because I know people don't want to make fun of those who are mentally ill, right? And I get that. But I think the thing is laughing at the situation, not necessarily at the kids, right? They're kids, right? And they need to be steered in the right direction. But laughing at the absurdity of the situation, I think, is fine.
I'm laughing with you.
No, yes, we're laughing, and we need help.
And you're crying and drinking heavily. I get it. All of it.
Exactly.
I get it. But the way you said that, the way you said that, if I knew how to do this on my phone, I would make a ringtone. Just simply said, "My daughter's a giraffe." In case you're wondering, it would just be my ringtone because that was legendary. The way you said that, like an exhausted, exasperated, like I feel like you feel like how certain politicians, like executive cabinets.
Did you grow up in California with how much you're saying like? I did, and I say it all the time.
Feel after the politician leaves the room and they're just like, I don't. That guy thinks he's a giraffe. I don't even know what to say right now. Like I don't know what. I don't even know what's reality right now. Like, okay, so I'll quit interrupting you. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone.
It's okay. One more thing.
Yes, I need one more thing.
One more thing. So my husband and I were like one eye shut, cringing, looking at the YouTube channel to see what the content is. And there was a video on there that my stepdaughter had made while she was over here at Christmas break with my 2 young kids in it, and we didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
That's just not good.
No.
You don't need me to tell you that. Like everyone should know. Like they should be more aware.
No. Yeah.
Okay, first of all, with this Therian stuff, I mean, do I let my daughter continue to be a giraffe?
No. There's no problem with being a furry. Okay, take that back. When you are a minor and you are furry, there are non-sexual parts and sexual parts, and you got to keep them away from all of the 18 plus stuff. But there's no harm in the non-18 plus stuff. It's role-playing, it's make-believe, it's fiction, it's fantasy. The Therian there is. So I hope he agrees that they need to diagnose like what's causing this disassociation.
But do I let that ride? More importantly, what rules do I have in place in my home about the internet and screens and social media? And
just watch your kid. It's that simple. You don't have to be like helicopter hover parent. Just check in every now and then.
And can I tell my stepdaughter not that her cell phone's not allowed here? And then
that's not going to be. We're past that day and age. We're not 20 years ago.
An overall big picture, like what kind of relationship should I have with my stepdaughter since I'm not her.
Be there for her and help her, like, figure out what's causing her to disassociate. Bring her to, like, someone who can psychologically evaluate her and figure out the trauma and stuff. Like,
Bio parent, but so much of her influence is over my house and my daughter, who's absolutely in love with her, adores her. And I'm sure a big reason my daughter's doing this is to gain good favors with the stepdaughter.
Sure. All right, so geez, where do we start here? All right, let's just start with number one. How old's your daughter?
My daughter's 9.
Okay, my daughter's
said
8.
9 and 13, I think.
My daughter puts on princess dresses and picks up her little floofy, not really a dog, but goes by, I mean, actually is a dog, but it kind of looks like a squirrel that just got huge and then got dropped in a dryer for a while, right? It's just this poofy little dog. My daughter will take a dress, and she'll put like this old Elsa dress on, get the dog, get some sort of like magic staff.
Make believe.
And run out into our backfield, into the woods. And she has these adventures and whatever.
Yeah, that's normal.
I want to support that and encourage that sort of creativity and adventure and fun and whatever weird world she's fighting dragons in. I want to encourage that all day long.
Yep.
Okay? When my son, who's heading into high school, comes home 1 month dressed like a punk rock kid, 1 month dressed like a country singer, like I want to encourage that. Also, in my house, encouragement comes with I get to poke fun at you too, but also like I love you and I know you're trying these things on. That's adolescent development 101. That's amazing. That's good. That's awesome.
It's good to self-express.
Where it crosses a line is when we go out in public. My daughter dresses not in her make-believe garb.
It's not Halloween.
And I find it strange that I have to say this, and I say it with as much compassion in my heart, but your daughter is not a giraffe. Your stepdaughter's not a fox. And once this behavior heads into high school, heads into college, heads into adulthood, now I'm going to ask more questions, okay? But right now with your 9-year-old, that's the only kid we got in front of us. If your kid wants to dress up like a giraffe and run around the backyard, I don't have an inherent problem with that, understanding that she's not going to dress like a giraffe when we go out to dinner. She's not going to dress like a giraffe when friends come over.
So, as long as there's an understanding that it's make-believe, the thing is they have to be able to separate fantasy from reality, right? If they want to make-believe and have their make-believe adventures, that's fantastic. They can put on the giraffe suit. They come back inside. Did you have fun as a giraffe? Cool. You're back to being a human or a princess or whatever, I don't know. But yeah.
See what I'm saying? Because you don't identify at like that language is just madness. It's yes. So strange that we're even having this conversation.
Yes.
Right?
I agree. We'll never, in our 40s, you and I will never understand it.
No,
I mean, I'm 30, and I mean, I've seen some shit with like other kin and stuff, and there's a lot of psychological stuff going on that takes a lot of evaluation, a lot of stuff that is well beyond pretty much anyone probably watching this or myself. I don't want to make this video too long, and I'm already 14 minutes over this, but I do. It comes down to I can accept that you want to make believe, but touch base with reality. Look down at your hand, that's a human hand. Look down at your neck, that's a human neck, right? You have a human face that you can touch and look in the mirror, right? So it just comes down to accepting reality. And if there's a disassociation or a disillusion or they believe they're something that they're not, then they need to get evaluated. Because it could be a number of psychological things, and quite frankly, if you're not a professional and don't know what to look for, you shouldn't be diagnosing.
I understand it. I mean, I've sat with the scholars who try to walk me through it all. It's just, and maybe this is how civilizations collapse, as I've been told.
No.
I just don't give a lot of credence or time because there's real hurting people in the world.
True.
This stepdaughter of yours is struggling, it's hurting,
Probably is.
right?
Yeah.
And so she needs some direct connection to some stable, secure adults and to some peers.
Yes.
To answer question
Socialization is
number
important.
2, I want to answer it fully. No more one-eye cringing in your home. These are two-eyed, wide-open parents. Absolutely not. I just feel that a thing at school. The school that my son attends is not allowed to take pictures of him and put them on the internet, much less a kid. The school at least has some legal standards. I'm not letting some 9th grader or 10th grader put
Seems that he's
I'm just
to
gonna
a
head
place
this.
where
It's too long.
animals running around and crapping in the woods. That'd actually be funny if it was just to other high school kids, because high school kids are hilarious when they're just allowed to be fully high school kids. You throw a
I'm
phone
sorry.
in there and you put up on the internet. Now it's a bunch of grown men, and it goes from that's high school kids being high school kids to, and by the way, that are majority adult males.
months ago if she could have a YouTube channel, and he said absolutely not.
Right.
And then we find out later that it happened. The theory and stuff, he struggles with it. But his problem is with her live streaming to strangers
Yes.
on the YouTube channel.
That are majority adult males.
Yes.
But-
Oh, I'm sure.
This
Sorry.
is not a YouTube channel for other kids dressed like animals. That could be
Yes.
hilarious.
Right.
If there were high school kids dressing like animals running around and crapping in the woods, that'd actually be funny if it was just to other high school kids. Because high school kids are hilarious when they're just allowed to be fully high school kids.
Mm-hmm.
You throw a phone in there and you put up on the internet, now it's a bunch of grown men.
Yep. Anything goes on the internet stays on the internet. Typically, you can scrub it, but it's very difficult. On top of that, you don't know who's on the other side watching that. So, 100%, like, they shouldn't be live streaming this, and also they shouldn't be uploading this. It's great to encourage your kid if they want to look into YouTube, but you should be there with them and monitoring it, not letting them do as is or whatever, and definitely not anything like this where it could haunt them for years to come once they get themselves figured out. Let's see if there's anything else he has to say.
It's such a massive change. All of us want to know, do you see me? Do you see all of me? And do you really love me? And when you're changing that fast, that question, before you even ask it fully, you've changed again. And so kids are, especially teenagers, are incredibly
Okay, so I'm trying to make this fast as possible. He's making the point that if I'm a kid and I'm changing and I'm rediscovering myself by the day, week, month, that do you accept me and love me as I am now and as I am in a week, and basically no matter what I am? And the answer should be yes, I accept you and I want the best out of you, but if you're unwell, then because I love you, that means that I need to get you checked out. If someone's like legitimately a theory. Now, a 9-year-old kid, it's hard to distinguish, are they just having a fantasy make-believe session or not. But if they legitimately are falling down that, or the 13-year-old should definitely be looked into.
vulnerable to positive feedback loops. And if her mom,
Timestamps.
go ahead. I like the fact that you just said
Which is
that
good.
really makes me feel at ease. Yeah, takes any medication you're recommending, and he gets access to that. But the fact that she's going through DBT means somebody somewhere probably has diagnosed her with borderline personality disorder. Is that what she has been diagnosed with?
Well, they've said like ODD and
She doesn't have.
No one-
She doesn't have. Well, I'm not going to say that. I'm not meeting with them, so I have no business saying that. Oh my gosh.
she went through regular therapy, for many years, and it's almost like kind of like nobody knows like what to do with her. And you know what? She's not a bad kid.
No,
here.
she's not.
She's like very respectful,
Of
and
course she is.
helps my kids, and she like does the dishes. Online school. Well, guess what? That's not working either. Like she just wants to stay in her room and YouTube all day.
Is there a parade of other men coming through in and out of that house?
Okay, wants the YouTube all day. Cool. When I was a kid, I wanted to play video games all day. Still do. Like, I mean, that doesn't change that. Hey, you got responsibilities. You get those done. As far as what he said about her being possibly diagnosed with various different things, it's good that they started getting them looked into. But she said something about she saw this person, and they didn't know how to like what. Yeah, it might take multiple professionals because the thing is when you have people who specialize in diagnosing, you're getting into really specific specializations, and the amount of research that they've done might have been a lot, but in different areas, right? You have so many different branches of both mental and neurological disorders that knowing where it falls under and where it could be, it unfortunately might take a lot of effort, unfortunately.
We've always been on high alert for that kind of stuff, and
talk in a way that they can
raised on the internet.
It's a way to bridge the gap between, hey, you want to meet up at my house, with here's a cartoon, right? Oh my gosh, this is so gross. Can you believe they're doing that? It's so weird, but it feels good. Wouldn't that be cool to? And that's how it starts. And so my question would be, was it another 12-year-old going, oh my gosh, these cartoons are insane, or is it that an adult live chat her on one of her YouTube things? That's why I don't play with any of it.
Don't let your 9-year-old live chat with like anyone. Teenagers, look, I played WoW when I was a teenager. Like, they'll be fine as long as you monitor them, but for the love of God, monitor them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a disaster. Right? While the winds rage, because those winds are 13 years old. As for your 9-year-old, I mean, I don't want to squash the imagination and the wild thinking and the dreaming and the what
this
if.
Is more feel good stuff, but
and the cheap dime store version of what affirmation is. But for many millions of kids who are holding a smartphone, it's all they got. And those smartphone creators.
Okay, so he's talking about acceptance affirmations. So the thing is, you can accept your child, but also want the best out of them. So what I mean by that is, if I have a friend who is a severe alcoholic, if I love them, then I will tell my friend, hey, we need to have a serious talk. This isn't healthy for you. I want better out of you. If I have a friend who is a drug addict, hey, I love you, and that's why I'm saying this is something we need to talk about. If you have a friend who is addicted to food and overeats, hey, I love you, and I'm really worried about the extra pounds you've put on. You know, it's not about saying, hey, you're a fatty, right? It's not about that. It's about saying, I'm worried that your excess body weight might cause you to have a shorter life, and I want to spend as much time as I can with you, you know. So you can accept someone, but not accept behaviors, even if they're coping mechanisms, that lead them to their downfall. And there's a lot of unhealthy coping mechanisms. Pretty much everyone has one. Can't think of a single person I know that doesn't have an unhealthy coping mechanism some way or another. Just some are worse than others. But when it comes to stuff like this, where it's really disassociative, there's something deeper going on, at least for the 13-year-old. For the 9-year-old, they're young enough, it's hard to say. But they say that they're like watching and looking over and stuff, but like, how are they having these chats? And it seems like they have like a split parent stuff, but like, no matter what, they just shouldn't be having that. So it seems like they need to have the right kinds of talks, and on top of that, actually, I hope they can find the right doctor for that.
Are way better at just backing up a dump truck worth of that affirmation and dump. It's all fun and good. And can I be like, this is going to be controversial. I hope it's not, but welcome to 2020, or welcome to the 2020s. I went on a long elk hunt a few weeks ago with one of my oldest friends in the world, my brother-in-law, several folks, one of their kids. I got dressed up in the most obnoxiously expensive camo. I had fancy this and fancy that, and my boots were fancy. I kind of fancied myself as an outdoorsman, Jill. Like, I kind of was pretending like I got to go provide for my family. And I did. I got I got a giant elk that I ate some of it for breakfast this morning. And I provided for my family.
Okay.
And I had to drive by a ton of Costco's to get there because it's 20 hours away from my house.
Okay,
You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
the provision is good. My family, we eat wild game probably 6 nights out of the week. Like, that's all good and good. But there's a little bit of me, like, kind of pretending.
Yeah.
Like, embodying something else for a long weekend before I have to come back to work and do my day job, which is YouTubing it up.
Right.
So I think, to a large degree, we all kind of do that. And I'm okay with that. In fact, I think it's fun and wonderful and great.
Yeah, never lose never lose all of your childlike innocence, right? Even when you grow up to be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, you know, that childlike wonder you once had, you're not going to have all of it, but at least recapture some of it, right? And I can agree with that. And a lot of us do it from watching a good movie, playing a video game, any of that, playing something like Dungeons and Dragons or something. When you watch like a science fiction movie or a horror movie or anything like that, you're putting yourself in these not real worlds, right? Temporarily. When you read a good book or a good novel, right? That's nonfiction, right? That's kind of a way to access that, and that's all good and fine. The problem is when that steps outside of that boundary, right? And being displaced from reality.
I got to play outdoorsman until my body was like, yeah, you're old, bro. You shouldn't do that like
Reality.
that without some stretching. We messed this up. We should have stopped this way before. It's 100% on us. And I want you to experience with me the rules are changing in real time. I completely blew it, and that's on me. I messed up. I want you to hear me say I'm really sorry. And for a kid, that can be very disarming and inviting, as opposed to when she walks in the door, like, you get that crap off you. Well, now there's a wall, and in a weird way, you've just handed over control to a 13-year-old.
Okay, so that's actually a really good point that he makes that I wasn't thinking of. Props to him. That if you have a child and you really need them to change, like, a bad behavior, putting them on the defensive is never a good thing, right? Saying you did this, you don't whatever, right? Replacing that with like I, and saying, I am worried about this or I feel like this, um, can have a more opening dialogue. I would be open to hearing you talk and having a dialogue with you, and opening a communication uh, is going to lower their guard and make them not super defensive. So good that he said that. I agree, especially when it's something of this importance and that you really do not want to mess up that dialogue.
Yeah.
When you start with an apology, I let this thing go on and I should not have,
And yeah, apologies.
then you are firmly taking the reins. But be very clear about what your goals are, why you want to do these things, what your boundaries are going to be. Write them down, and then open up the conversation and do it over a meal. And say, this is going to be hard.
Yeah.
But you know that we love you, and we know we have one job, that's to keep you safe.
And I think that's good advice, right? And I think especially for someone who's 9 years old, who they might not have anything actually going on, right? They could just be caught in the moment as a kid, right? Their brains are still forming, right? You could just say, hey, let's, establish some boundaries. You can wear whatever you want when you go out to play. You can make believe whatever. When we're at the table, you dress like your normal self, and we talk about normal self activities. If you want to talk about what you played or something, you can have maybe 5 minutes of that, right? Boundaries, as he said, 5 minutes, and then we're talking about how your day at school went. What did you learn? Did you do anything interesting in physical education? What's a conversation you had with a friend, right? you know, anything like that. And showing an interest in your child, of course, matters. And the more interest you show in your child, the less that they're gonna have feel like they have to reach out online to other people, because they really shouldn't be feel like they should have plenty of people to relate to at school and their family. They shouldn't feel like they need to talk to other people online like there's no one else. That's for us lonely grown up adults. Okay, so yeah, this is BestFurryNA, and this has been a long video. But give him some love. I'll give the link in the description. Bio, dear God, I'll give a link in the description of this. Using this with fair use, transformative, policy. But thank you very much, Dr. John Deloney, for being, mostly respectful about this and stuff. It's very easy to point and laugh and say. I mean, I can guarantee I can look through these comments, and I've already seen a couple of the comments, but like, yeah, this is good. See, this is more poking fun, and I mean that's not harmful, but yeah, this is fine. But yeah, yes, but let's see here. This is what happens when you let the internet raise your children. I mean, kind of, but that's more of this is what happens when you don't spend enough time with them. Yes, this is good, but the hell just happened to my butt? Anyways, see this stuff right here though, like this is not helping anyone. This is just making fun of and stuff, and I'm glad that he didn't do anything like that, right? Discipline your okay, so instilling discipline is fine, but like I wouldn't spank them or anything like that because of this, or say, you're going on timeout, right? Like stop trying to be their friend and be their parent. I don't like this line when people say that, because you should have a warm kinship with your kids. Now, don't get me wrong, there's definitely times to be stern, direct, right, and firm. But it's way too easy to go from stern, direct, and firm to being an asshole. And sometimes you really have to if you don't have any other choice with very specific things. But this isn't one of them. And you don't want your kids to resent you and rebel. Too many people don't want a parent, and I mean that's true. But you don't want your kids to rebel. So you want a firm but heavy hand, not a harsh, mean, cruel one. Yeah. And I'm sure this is true too, right? And see, this is like, okay, what's going on with a 13-year-old? The 9-year-old is just playing make believe, right? My daughter asked me if she could wear a tail to school. Hey, I'm sorry, October 31st. Yeah, you can dress up on Halloween. Yep, exactly, exactly. Uh, like I think at one point when I was like a kid, I asked my parents like if I could, if I remember right, fuzzy memory, 15 years ago plus, even more. Like, hey, can I wear my Boy Scout uniform to school? And they said nope. And I'm glad they did. I was a don't get. Psychology nerd and therapist in training. Sounds like disassociation. Yeah. It seems funny and everything, but it sounds like a way of escaping a fantasy to deal with something traumatic. I would try to connect, see if she open their troubling. The other daughter is just setting boundaries. Play as a game, that's as far as you should go. Literally everything here. This person is 100, like, thank you. Literally, like, something is going on with one of them, and the other one set up boundaries. Yeah. Yeah, or if say she isn't. Yeah. This person is 100% right. Thank you for watching, everyone, and hopefully I'll have more content soon. Take care, love you all, have a wonderful day. And thanks again for Dr. John Deloney for having this very interesting conversation.